All right, my friends, we're back once again. I'm glad you joined me. This is the one. I can feel it. Who knows? But man, are we gonna give it a shot? Let's get these pillagers and get them angry, and then teach them for messing with our villager friends. That's the goal. I'm still a little torn. I We are on this plane and we're looking at a pillar thing over here, which I think we want to go stealth check out. I don't know. I don't want to spend like 8 episodes just touring around and never finding an outpost when we know there's at least one kind of in the vicinity of our base, if not a couple. And I don't usually grab the coordinates because there's whenever you're not looking for them, there's a million of these things, right? And they're all around, and it's just a pain. You don't like. I think I talked about in the last episode. I was starting to get a lot noticed. I was like, man, I'm getting frustrated by this, and there's no reason. Like, we can just chill out a bit and enjoy the wonder that is Minecraft. I mean, we found a mesa and a jungle, which none of which we've noted the coordinates on, of course, but there's still cool things. I think we're gonna start being a little more selective though too. Why not? Ooh, there's a campfire, so that's got to be a village. But alas, I like that. How often do you get to say alas these days? Alas, there is not yet any pillagers around, and this would be in a forest, so that is not a good recipe for raid success. At least in my book. Maybe you guys feel differently. I mean, we could torch the whole forest, but it seems extreme unless we've seen the. Look at this, though. That is crazy. Spruce taiga edge of the biome just clipping enough to turn this village. Anyway, I'm not going to go around plundering the chests and all that. That we don't need to do. Hey, kitty. You're so pretty. You're a tuxedo, I think. On Saturday, if you remember, if you care, I was at a football game with some friends. It ended up being one of those long. It was like a 1:30 game. We went down to get ahead of Uber surge pricing and traffic and all that. So we went down and had brunch at a cool little area around Denver's Union Station. Great example of what refreshing an area can do. Union Station, when I first came here for the first, I don't know, 15, 20 years that I lived here. Probably hasn't been 20 because it's been redone for quite a while, but it was the old train station, and it was like, I think a lot of people appreciate. I love trains. I had model trains as a kid. When I was doing my road trip across the country the other day, like riding in pace with a train, and I'm like checking out all the different types of cars and like the tags on them and all that. Just love it. I think it's a cool connection to our past, still a vital piece of industry that we don't think about a lot, part of our transportation network, and just so cool. The machines, how they have so much power. It's part of why I early on was like, I remember my nephew, and over the years, I've tried to get my dad to check out a couple of key video games that I thought, if he can get over the hurdle, he will absolutely love these. Civilization was one I thought he would lose it, if he understood how this ties together. It just outside his era, he was born in the 30s, a kid in World War II in England, and the idea that this is just a fan, and like there's nothing real about this. Like, yeah, maybe replicating civilizations in the world and all that, and and have some conceptual kind of things, but the world is too precious. It's a different mentality, and I've tried. But when when my nephew had introduced me to Minecraft as a little kid, he'd be all cringe at that at this point. He's almost done with high school, looking at colleges, all that. Man, I'm so proud of them. He and his sister. But when he had introduced me to this, he was kind of a little kid, like so many people over the years that have been introduced to Minecraft. He's kind of like, oh, the adventure, monsters, go kill them, and then cloning it. He figured out the whole like world spawn things or whatever. And he's like, oh, because very quickly he outgrew it. Kind of in the sense, I'm playing vanilla, he's playing mini games, and still, I don't know if he still plays any kind of Minecraft mini games specifically, but he's, kind of out in was already in the, yeah, I don't have a whole lot here after he'd learned how to handle all the monsters in survival and was like, okay, I got this. He was moving on, but he'd do the builds, kind of inspired by others, and just was like, why would I, why would I waste my time gathering all these resources? He's the epitome of, well, why would I play hardcore? It sounds like a lot of work. I don't want to do all that. Like, I can just get a mini game that does all that stuff for me and get all the combat and all the fun. And predictably, he's moved on to other games that I don't. To be fair, I don't play everything that he does. So, but I credit him endlessly with having introduced me to this game, and perfect timing. But anyway, when I'd first discovered it and kind of first gotten beyond the mere survival, and like had barely figured out there's a dragon at the end of this that I'm supposed to go kill and all that. But I was discovering all the rail system. And like, I've never been big into the rails and redstone and all that kind of stuff, but I loved the potential of it. And it kind of reached its peak, but I was like, hey, Dad, this has the potential to be all that model railroading ever was. When I was a kid and you were helping me kind of build the setup on the dining room table, and then Mom would chase us down into the basement. Eventually we made the big plywood base for it and everything. And it was kind of cool. I didn't have the patience or the experience at that time to really, I think in all cases, model railroading largely becomes a thing about dads. If you want to have one of those cool model railroad layouts that has the switches and multiple trains going and all that, unless you are purely a really gifted engineering type mind, you're going to be looking to the parents. And fortunately, my dad was an electrical engineer by training. Moved into a lot of business stuff, but he had that background. So as far as switch diagrams and laying out all the electronics of it, he was uniquely well suited to help me out with all that. And so we did pretty well. It never got the whole decorating stuff, which I as a kid gravitated more to that. The Minecraft side, the buildings and the making little, what's the dioramas kind of deal, right? Like, you're making this frozen snapshot of sort of a society, a little village or a town or whatever. And if you ever get a chance to go to one of the model railroad museums, if you can find some of the good ones, and they are really impressive. There was one when I was growing up in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. We'd get into the Minneapolis and St. Paul, and I don't remember where this place was. I want to say it was around St. Paul and Railroad, so not like in the heart of it. But I was older because we were doing the model railroading stuff, and there was this, I don't know, it was like a shopping mall kind of deal, but it had they were like, oh, we're gonna kind of give it this railroad theme, and it's probably early 90s, late 80s, probably late 80s. But it was this time when like these when I was a little kid, the indoor shopping mall, like mall rat style indoor shopping malls. And I think Mall Rats was filmed in a Minnesota mall, if I recall correctly from IMDb or wherever. Anyway, those kind of malls were all the rage in the Midwest, obviously, because winters stink, and if you're gonna have to go clothes shopping or hanging out or doing any of that kind of stuff, there's an appeal to in the winter being able to go to a place inside, park your car, get dropped off by your parents or whatever, and forget about the outside for a while. I mean, it's almost like the Vegas casinos, right? Nobody cares about the time that you're spending there. You're not in a rush, except right around Christmas time. They got an arcade and a food court and a movie theater and shopping all around, and lots of places with foods and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, real appeal, but as I recall in the 80s, it was less about the big mall and more about these little like I don't know if they were themed necessarily, but they were like these mini kind of malls with a couple restaurants in them that would now be kind of parts of upscale kind of chains. I don't know. It's young memories, and I'm struggling to place how they would relate to today. But they weren't like the big mall, but you'd go and there would be like a couple of like things to draw people, and then some shops around. So I think without really remembering it, I think the theme of this one would have been that stereotypically for today, but fathers and sons come, and it's probably targeted for people coming in from a distance, right? Like, come on in. It's not necessarily a stay at a hotel at this place, but you're coming from a long way away. So come in and let the ladies do some shopping, and dads and sons or grandparents and grandkids. It'd be a place where grandparents could take their grandkids and get a lunch at a nice, not a McDonald's kind of food court deal, but like a sit-down restaurant kind of deal, and maybe do some shopping, maybe get the kids a birthday outfit or something like that while they're at it. But they also have this, you pay $5 or whatever, who knows, and you get to go in and tour and see these trains going. And I'm sure now that I say that, that's the obvious market, right? It's the parents are working, but this is a place where grandparents or whatever can come and bond with kids at a kind of cool for kids activity, but something that two grandparents would absolutely get a kick out of. Even at my age, and now particularly, I think everybody loves to see it. If you can admit it, everybody loves to walk around a big train layout and see the trains running with all their different colors and company names and logos and all that, and whether it's an old from the past steam locomotives with the period buildings done up, or a modern city with electric trains and all that kind of stuff. It's like Minecraft. It piques our imagination to walk through and just imagine what because here's a little house tucked up against the side of a fake mountain, done up with all the landscaping stuff. So it's got trees and maybe a little creek in it, and there's the obligatory kid napping on his back with a fishing pole, right? He's ducking out of work. He's got like a school book or something upside down next to him, and there's maybe a couple guys that are supposed to be construction workers, but they're sitting with an XX jug sitting between them. They're out sipping a little sipping a little something, having a little party out on a sunny day, and they're waving at the train as it goes by, and it's all these little. You can imagine a backstory for all these people in this whole little world. Well, Minecraft grows out of that so naturally, and I'd kind of say, Dad, you could check this out. I think if you could get past the fact that it's a game, you could really have some fun in here building some stuff. He never could. It wasn't his deal at all. And that's fair. We've all got our likes and preferences, and that's why, I get it. A lot of people grow out of Minecraft and don't see it. They just don't build it. For those of us who love the game and love playing it, whether it's creative or survival or hardcore or mods or whatever, for me, that idea of, there's this world and you can kind of build into it and shape it, bring it up from nothing. So cool. So I think a lot, looking at the silos that we build and kind of the farm and all that's such a model railroad staple to have a little farm. Are we even going to find this in mountains? I just keep kind of going. I'm trying really hard not to look at coordinates this time. I think we've gone far enough that hopefully we won't walk back over our same trail again. At least we won't know it if we're doing it, because I don't think we're going to, well, now that maybe that's some sand. Could just be a beach, though. I don't remember white horses, so I'm just going to assume that we're going in a new direction and not about to come back on a desert we've already been across and see some. That looks like a big old ravine. Don't want to fall in that. So yeah, I think it was the trains and the mine carts and stuff like that really just gave me a sense that there you can build these machines and stuff, and before even back then I was finding some, it was kind of let's play and tutorials were the same, at least for me. Now, I may just not have been searching it out right, and the pure tutorial never got to me, but I don't think I've really talked much about YouTube influencers for me in a long time. But the first I found, well, maybe 1 and 1A were Paul Source Jr. and BOO. And I want to say I found Paul Source Jr. first in his Survive and Thrive series. And I didn't see it from the beginning. I found it when there were a lot of videos out there. So I was already a couple years back, but I don't remember the versions and all that, or what series they were. He had an initial Survive and Thrive in Minecraft series, and it was so good for me, who was not a kid. It was, and again, I try to keep this, as I say, kind of PG-13. I've been better about it now, especially in some of those early worlds. I'd drop a little bit here and there when something surprised me or went wrong. And I don't pretend that I'm trying to be something I'm not. When YouTube asks, none of my videos are made for kids. I think that just the stuff I think about and talk about when I'm playing, the attitude I bring to the game, is not directly kids, but I think if you're kind of high school age or a mature middle school or something like that approaches hardcore Minecraft, I don't think you'd be repulsed by this. At least I hope not. But you might be a little bored at times. I get that. But he was kind of the same way. He was entertaining for me as an adult, but not something where if I had been in junior high or high school, my parents had hey, what are you watching? I'm going to sit down and watch it with you for a bit. I wouldn't have been in trouble. They wouldn't have found anything to be like, oh, that's terrible. It was no worse than what was going on a lot. And I don't even really recall him. Well, I don't know. I watched a lot of hours, but his first Survive and Thrive series was the first real enough role play to it to keep it interesting, but lighthearted. Not taking himself too seriously in it. It wasn't like, oh, this is the minions of Toast, and we are the Toast Warriors, and if you ever talk outside of our secret Toast language, you are shunned from the comments and all that. No, it was, hey, this is Paul Sears Jr., we're playing, and, this is our little Minecraft guy, and we're going. And he presented it as kind of a starting in how you survive and thrive tutorial, but it was really a let's play as he was going. And I've always kind of, I guess, just mentally approached that with myself. Like, all right, what are we doing now? How we going about this? What are we going to do the next time? So, always and forever, huge PSJ fan. And I've found other content creators in the year, probably the decade since I first discovered him, that it, kind of supplanted. It's like, oh, that's a little bit more to my style. And he's millions of subscribers as a YouTube variety creator, and he's introduced me to a ton of games. One of my top pantheon of all time games started. Oh, all right. So here you guys are, and did we have a? I don't even care. We're going, and we're gonna go mix it up with a village. Before we do, I probably got this stuff like all in a mess. Clean everything we can. They better not do. They're still over there. All right, good. All right, we will take this. Take this just to keep these separate and straight. Animal box can go away. Now we're going to have to work our way back to a village. No. This. So let's... I wish those had been repaired. That's the drawback of putting the wings in. Did he die from the fire and not from my... That was what I was talking about with the flame, and like the last time I was like, oh no, I got the credit for the kill. This time, clearly I didn't, because no bad omen. That is... Oh, now I'm all over the place. Getting screenshots I don't want. That's the way we want to go. That was too much. game knew that. I was like, you know what? Maybe that was a test of our resolve, though. We're gonna get an outpost now because we stopped to fight those pillagers. But let that be a lesson. We got to be careful about the flame. Make sure we can get that finishing shot in. Look for the towers. It's just a hill, not a tower. At least I got my inventory sorted out. So, anyway, yeah, I haven't talked in a long time, but Paul Soares Jr., huge fan. And like I said, I don't watch it. You know, he's still right there on my subscriptions, and I'm always watching, see, like, oh, all right, what's he playing? What's he got coming out? And I think, you know, he probably would never say it, but you know, if you knew him face to face or something like that, which I don't, would definitely buy the guy a beer, you know, if I ever had a chance to hang out. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that would do that, and he's probably pretty happy with his own life, so not necessary. But I think a few times he's tried to go back and recapture the magic, and just knows, you know, it's not what it was when he did it that first time. You can't make the magic that it was. But that series and then the one that followed were so entertaining. You know, he's running around not taking himself too seriously, but he's played the game enough to teach you good stuff, and I know my gameplay style reflects a little bit of that, just from having been like, oh yeah, you know, this is what you go to. So always grateful for his videos being out there. You know, they still are. You can still watch those episodes of How to Survive and Thrive. And I haven't watched any videos as much as I used to. Now that I'm recording, that takes up more time, and I don't have the audio playing in the background while I'm playing and recording. So that definitely cuts down on. Now I feel like we're zigzagging back and forth. But here's another little village. Give me another little chance with the pillagers. I promise, game, I'll be happy. About that same time, though, or sometime during that, I was like, I knew horses were newly out and teamable and all that, and I wasn't too sure of the mechanics or something, and I found a BOO video search for one of the first times I was searching on like Minecraft horse video, or finding a horse or taming a horse or something like that. So I was seeking out a specific video, and BOOs came up, and this was pre Hermitcraft stuff, and it was only years later that I kind of rediscovered him, and was like, I think this is the same guy. But he made early videos as well, and his were from this. I was a contractor, builder, and did construction work, and when he started out, his were like BOO builds or whatever, but he was doing it in survival and not creative stuff, and was going around building up a house. Early on, he started like, I'm going to build it to code, and eventually that got kind of trashed because, you know, it was just like, all right, whatever. I want to build stuff that looks cool. And he built a big old Home Depot, among other stuff, to make, you know, for his storage. And he was like, oh, you know, was figuring out the redstone to make the doors work on the beginning, and the kind of like a warehouse type shelving and all that. So cool. And just remember loving his attitude and demeanor in the videos. Then I'm not sure who or how I kind of next progressed. I think at some point along the way, and um, I know Paul Soares joined the Hermits for like a year. He didn't do many seasons with him. His style didn't really resonate. It's one of the things that kind of taught me early on. Be the player you're gonna be. And that's why I say people. Oh, did you run a server? It's that obligatory Minecraft comment, right? Do you have a server? Can I join your server? Are you gonna join a server? Do you want to? Um, he taught me pretty early on that it's okay, play the way you want to play, and if people enjoy that style, they'll come find you. Or you got to do the things to make it visible. You got to be out there and be a part of the community. And that's still why I'd like to get going in Twitch or some form of live streaming to share my play style and how I play, and check those communities. But yeah, he went and did the server thing for a while, had a huge audience. They obviously had that appeal of him reaching a new audience. He had the appeal of a different style of play, and I think it just didn't support his lifestyle. He was like, I do this for certain hours a day. When you start getting into a server, you've got to do the things that make the server cool are the big raids, doing the big kill the dragon, doing the prank wars and that kind of stuff, interacting with the other people on the server. Otherwise, you might as well be in your own world. And while his personality was awesome for that kind of stuff, I don't think he ever felt that his timing was supportive enough, and he didn't have enough time to put in because he wasn't a streamer to the big builds and stuff like that. And I think server like Hermitcraft are so much better for streamers, right? They only really work in, well, I guess I'm the unique audience people. They're like, man, bring it on. I'll watch it for a few hours while you're working on a project, and I love to just see the footage and hear somebody that's maybe not just jamming out to tunes the whole time, but talking to the audience and engaged and saying what their thoughts are, what they're working on. But I know that has a limited appeal. A lot of people would like to see just the clip stuff. So the people who are successful on like YouTube with servers, they're clipping out a lot of hours of gameplay and work, and that wasn't Paul's style. Paul's style was build small and quick, play in hardcore. Don't end up with too much stuff, and don't spend days, weeks, months of time recording, building a big machine. You don't need that to go fight a dragon and have an adventure, and get a full season, a couple hundred episodes or whatever out of a world. You can have a little base. You can show off all the relevant parts of the game, have a lot of fun, and not bore your audience with it. And I don't think he wasn't like fastidious about it, as far as I know, where he was like, I will never run a minute off this thing. But again, he wasn't playing hardcore either. If he died, okay, well, come back. So if he was mining or something like that and something happened, he could pop back in. For me, I'd rather just have you guys here the whole time. All right, there's another village. This is crazy that we haven't found any. Haven't looked at the coordinates either in a while, or the time that I started this video. Just rambling and bambling and talking. We'll get back to the YouTube influencers here in a minute. 34 minutes, and whoops, We are 7102. I don't know. I don't want to give up on the exploration and adventure stuff, but without any real purpose and not wanting to stop for stuff as we go because I want to get this totem done today, I kind of feel like this is a waste. If we don't see anything beyond this village, or the woods close back in, or anything like that, then we're calling it. We got our orange box in our hand. Those are trees. Village. Pillagers, I call you out and challenge you. Face me like crossbow wielding foes that you are. But yeah, we'll pick this up and convert it to flying home if we don't get anything kind of in this corner back here. Running out of room. More and more trees keep showing up. Zombies. I know zombies. I don't mean to depreciate you. You're all unique and special little snowflakes, but I just don't have time for you right now. Well, it keeps teasing with new potential, doesn't it? So anyway, influencers. So Paul Swears Jr. introduced me to Hermitcraft when he was it Hermitcraft or like Minecraft or something. Now I'm not sure. May have been the Minecraft server. Could be mixing stuff up. It's been a lot of years. Anyway, hey doggies. That was kind of my first of watching like pranking and collaborative projects, building trade systems, all that kind of stuff going on in a server environment. And there were some great combination of builders and personalities within it. And so happened that BOO and Jenny B had generic B is Jenny B, by the way, had joined up. And this is where I'm not sure of how all the timing and everything worked. By the way, we're starting. Those are shears. Starting our way back, guys. Wow. Okay, now I think we're at like 34 on the X and negative 30 something on the Z. Does that sound right? Let's check real quick before we get going. Still got this up. Base. Negative 34, negative 22.85. So, basically like 0 and negative 22. That'll get us close enough to see. So we got a long way to go back on lowering X. Which, how are we? We can't always be facing south. Oh, and now the sun's going down? What a waste. Okay, so primarily west. Yeah, shouldn't. That was my bad. Starting a flight in the middle of the evening before we headed out. So once we get it going again. We want to go this way. So we're going to keep looking for outposts, not posteds. So yeah, through Paul Soares Jr., I kind of got used to this generic B and BOO, kind of had a little bit of a back and forth pranking with him. And it was great. And I was like, oh, yeah, these guys are awesome. Well, somewhere through there, and again, I don't remember, Minecraft, Hermitcraft, whatever, generic B, the Hermit, started up Hermitcraft and is no longer affiliated with it. But was, one of the guys that was like, hey, I'm going to start a server and invite some of the best YouTubers to come along. And that quickly morphed into the streaming where, hey, let's keep all this going. Now, I guess we should just roll the dice here and see if we can't get lucky. We did once. I mean, there are villages and stuff all around, and we're kind of flying towards more mountains. I think I should go for a bit of altitude. And just keep scanning. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of wing strength or durability because they were already a little bit worn to start. And when we're doing this back and forth low level stuff, they get worn down a lot more quickly than if we were just, going up to like 600 on the Y and zipping along. And this is what's so tough. You kind of want to be looking out and up to maintain as much of your constant flight and momentum, but to see, you gotta look down, and that speeds you up every time. So it's not very good for rockets or wing endurance. And then you get this where you're like right up on the edge before you ever see anything. Oh. And that's why you got to keep the F3 screen up. So anyway, definitely watched. I'd watch back old seasons and stuff on YouTube. For a long time, I didn't even. I knew of Twitch, but I really didn't look at streaming at all. I would play in the with a YouTube or something going in the background, and so could just run seasons as I was playing my games, and that was the easiest way. You didn't have to wait for content or anything like that. You just kind of let it roll on continuously, and get out hours of that stuff. So I'd watch old Minecrafts. and kind of stuck with those guys. Um, Paul Soares got me over to Stardew Valley. He featured that as one of his variety streams, and his personality was well suited to that game. Got me hooked. Loved it. I still haven't played like the new late game content, but I love making a farm. Playing through the first couple of years, doing the community center thing, and making my farm all self-sustaining and full of variety and all that good stuff. So he kind of connected me with that, and then at about the same time, I think, was when Fallout 4 dropped, and I got. Well, I think he already had Skyrim. I think he introduced me to Skyrim. Come on. Okay, this is still our diagonal travel. Yeah, I can't remember exactly the order. If it was, but I think I had Skyrim before Fallout 4 ever dropped. I didn't have it when it first came out on PC. Oh, hey, there's some giant tree taiga. I think we found this. Found this when we were out looking for swamps or whatever it was that we last went on a never-ending voyage. But yeah, one way or another, I think it was. I remember his Skyrim TV series, and that was again really well done with his style of role play, lighthearted and fun and entertaining. Made you laugh, but got you to see a bunch of the game. And he wasn't a very completionist kind of guy. That it would fade out as the interest dropped on his channel. He would kind of move on to other games and venues, and check them out for a while. So I was like, I love his style, his entertainment. It's so much good. But, when I'm getting really into it as somebody that loves, give me more content, give me the whole game, give me everything, he'd be wrapping up and moving on to a new thing. And that started to challenge me, especially more so even with Skyrim and Fallout, but also with Stardew. I think all three of those kind of Skyrim and I want to say Stardew was out before Skyrim, but I don't. They were close. But between certainly Skyrim and Stardew and Fallout a little well, more so than when I'd just been focusing on Minecraft, I was like, these games have some linear content to them, and I want to see people that are sticking it out. And through Stardew, I found a UK streamer who I also highly recommend, Avak, Aavak. Um, he's a he's a Welsh guy living in Scotland, and for me, having a British dad, there was at least living in Scotland, a place I've visited. I've driven into parts of Wales. As a streamer, he's not real like, oh, I live at this address and all that. He's protecting his own privacy and all that, but he talks about places and news events and things like that I'm abreast of at least, and had just an awesome personality and demeanor. So, and he had a Stardew Valley series that was much longer running than Paul Soares was. And so I'd kind of, been fishing around for Stardew content to see where the game was going, how it was, what other people were doing. As I'm playing further in my series, I'm like, man, I've looped through. I think it's Paul Soares. Yeah, I've looped through Paul Soares' playthrough like 3 times, and I'm like in year 2. What am I going to do for content now? I start finding these other streamers, and then the same thing carried on, but the effect was even more magnified with games like Fallout and Skyrim. They were full, rich content games that I quickly became aware even the majority of people that buy them only ever really scratch the surface, right? That's the milk, the bread and butter of the game industry, right? Is we make the first like 25 levels of content super detailed, and the voice actors, are the best for those characters and all that kind of stuff, and will make sure that everybody, the AAA game formula, right? We'll make sure that experience is awesome. I'm terrified. Don't kill me. Ah! Wow. You guys getting this? I got a full-on crash of Minecraft. The game crashed whilst, that's a good one, ticking entity error, Java lang null preliminary exception, cannot invoke ITUNIMI DSI fast util objects object array list get int because this dot wrapped is null. Exit code -1. That's crazy. Wow. I have never seen a game crash. I wonder what happens to us. I was so struck with the novelty, I didn't even think about the fact we may have just lost the world, guys. So I pulled a crash report. I'm going to file save as. Okay, it's in my Minecraft folder. It's got the date and the time. And we'll just underscore Hambbage Cho. So it didn't say like a resource. It said it couldn't get this wrapper thing, but there was no system resource deal. The game wasn't, it was taking a little bit to load, but didn't seem like it was hanging. It just went from good, 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 good to frozen, and then the whole window blew up on me. So I'm sorry, I'm talking to a dark screen here. Let's give you guys that for a second, just so anybody fast forwarded through is like, why am I looking at a black screen? Close. How much time? And of course, we're at 55 minutes. Let's relaunch here and see. See what we got, guys. Dun 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 dun. It'll take the full 5 minutes now for the game to game to come back up. Okay, it is pulling up in the background there. Do do do. Oh, I saw the little flash. It's getting close. There we go. Oh, now I almost kept you guys with the slide, but I'm not gonna do that. All right. Well, here's the suspense. Much for talking about two content creators. How will I ever remember where I was at in that story? Oh, come on. Although this one could take a while. If we're, it's gonna make us sweat this out as it tries to recover wherever we were at. Man, there's such a good job. Our chance our world just corrupted. Okay, where? Oh boy. I saw pigs. Saw pigs coming in. Let's get. Where's our height? I want to land. Let's aim for water. Hi, pigs. You guys are my brethren, right? Hi. Oh, a little baby piggy. Day 621. Day that will live in infamy. Wow, guys. That, that wasn't exactly what I'd call cool. No, I'm a little scared of flying again. But we seem to. Oh, I didn't even look. Ooh, I guess we're done flying. Never mind on the rockets. Now, as I understand it, your wings won't actually break and destroy, but they will stop functioning. I don't know how abruptly you land. Frankly, I've never been in a point where I want to just try that. But here's the reality for when we get going again. We've got about 400 blocks that way, a little more. That would be west, and about 3,300 blocks north to get home. The good news is I think that the outpost that we know of is in that general direction. So we're going to give this a clean save. What a crazy episode. I didn't like that. If not, okay, then return. And a little too soon there, Minecraft. Let's not get snarky when you almost ate my world. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate you coming by. Have you seen the error message I read off List Wrapper or something like that? It caused a game crash, and again, not system resources that I know of, just an abrupt done. So anyway, we survived. We aren't dead yet, but we still don't have that totem. And next episode, hopefully we, if nothing else, can cover 3,000 blocks overland and and find that outpost we need. So take care of yourselves. Have a good break. I will have a quick one and come right on back to wrap up this raiding goodness. See ya.